There's an order to what's happening out in the world. Energy goes out and it comes back, and everybody has their cycles of it, times of influence, times of not influence. It's there. We can't always understand it for someone else, but we're learning from ourselves, and we're seeing other people's examples. We can learn from that. Okay. Again, any one of these we could spend a lot of time with, going deeper, bringing in charts, looking at, but for now, it's enough to just make these associations and see these associations there and wonder about it and struggle. As you're looking at a chart, it expands your literacy. When you're looking at planet sign, planets, and then the aspects, you see where the easy and you see where the stress is coming. But you got to work one planet at a time. You got to do each one to see them all at once, and just whichever one stands out. That's not the appropriate way. You have to look at the moon, you have to look at the Mercury, look at Venus, and you see the picture, and then they'll come together. Then the next level, we interpret the whole chart and go through all this stuff, but it still requires doing each one of these things separately and putting them together. So by the time you put the moon in signs, moon in houses, and the aspects together, or Jupiter, or any planet, you've got a little bit of contemplation to merge these, whether these factors are all reinforcing each other or contradicting each other. You got to see the uniqueness of that person's sense of security or life or their understanding. Okay. If you're trying to do acupuncture, it doesn't help if you don't hit the right nerves. So we're looking at the nerves, and if you're talking to someone about a chart, and you're trying to talk about how it works for them, these are the nerves of the psyche that people say, oh, wow, how did you hit that? How did you see that? These are the nerves that walk right into someone's matrix. This is really, the whole chart is really the DNA of life, but it's objective and subjective. Okay, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, the other planets, they're trying to encourage you to understand, to go for exceptional things and try and bypass the normal conservative Saturnian things. They make you want to do something different, something more exciting, something more incredible, something more powerful than just holding steady and doing the work. So they tend to each affect to stimulate the Jupiter for a certain bias and tend to try and get around the Saturn. When really, if these things come, the exciting or the adventurous or the powerful things come to your understanding, that means, wow, you're going to have to, if you're going to succeed at this, you're going to have to really work your Saturn to be prepared to deal with this exceptional factor and become really talented or really skilled. If you're not, that exciting, adventurous, powerful understanding will guide Mars to take on anything without a sense. You could start a war without realizing you're 100 people fighting 10,000. You're not going to win. There's different levels you can put this on and change it. So this is the puzzle. So as Uranus comes in to conjunct, square, or oppose the Saturn, it's going to make it more unconventional. It's going to make the understanding, why not break away? Why not go for excitement? It's going to make the understanding a little biased towards excitement rather than responsibility. So that can be just an interesting, innovative way, but really it's a threat to the structure, and it's going to demand, it's going to encourage you to rise above what's normal and do something exceptional, but really that means you're going to have to work like hell to be able to pull it off. Or you go for it and you get the high moment, but it doesn't stay, and then afterwards you're spending the rest of your life wondering, oh, I did that then, but when am I going to do this another time? What's next? Okay, so the excitement peaks at a moment in your life, or at certain moments in your life, but then it moves on, and after that peak, it goes down from the excitement. So are you living your life for the moment you had a chance to be on the stage with the band and you sang your solo and everybody noticed it, then the band split up and you never played again? And or you won the Olympics, and then the rest of your life, you're living on that you won the Olympics, that was exceptional. But really, who cares? Like, a certain amount of people care. You end up selling stuff or being known for your name and going up, but you're not rising up to that occasion again. Wow. So that's hard to, you're not living up to that peak again. That's hard to take. That can make you angry, Jupiter and Mars. That can make you struggling with authority, with what to do, what to accomplish next. Saturn, but Uranus, you got something special. Now what? So the Uranus excites the Jupiter, encourages, this is like astrology. Oh, wow, this is so incredible. It's so exciting. Look at it. I'm going to be the astrologer. I'm going to work at that. It's encouraging. And I read this book. Oh, they can see it from this way too. And it gets you really exceptional living on a high frequency. That's a great influence. You're not going to want to sit around being a clerk in a post office unless it's paying for enough time to study these other things. So sometimes this is like a double life. It's another side where you have the excitement and you have your stability here. And there's a certain time in your life you may live up to it. Aside from the time that you're living up to it, there's a nervousness, there's an instability in your understanding. There's a weakness in the understanding that makes you not as capable of comprehending the responsibilities that are required. So you're inclined to guide Mars a little more freely, a little more excitingly, a little more eventually than responsibly. Why not get the motorcycle? Why not go race the cars? Why not do it creates an openness which we would like to have, but there's a cost for it by bypassing Saturn. We're still going to have to be prepared and ready to deal with that. If we go do something exciting, we got to be ready for the repercussions of it. Take this job and shove it. So can I have the job back? Forget it. So you can have an exciting what do you call snowboard or sorry, I lost the word for it. Just roller skates, but the board that you're skating on, your skateboard. You can say, I gotta have the skateboard. You let your kid, oh, go have the skateboard. It's exciting. Go for it. Boom. But if you don't take the time to train and practice before you go, that kid's going to get wiped out. So when exciting things come and it hits your Jupiter and you want to make your Mars to go to it, there's a tendency to shortcut the Saturn, and there's a real need to make the Saturn work stronger so that you can get to that moment responsibly with discipline. So if someone gets to be president and they've never had any political experience, that's a dangerous thing. Whereas if they take the time to work, to be in it, to build their way up, build up their responsibility to understand what has to be done, then they have a greater wisdom to deal with that. So in terms of astrology or mystical things or thinking or trying to understand things, wow, it just opens up everything. But even in learning astrology, it can open everything. But in the end, astrology is like music. It has its scales, it has its rhythms, it has its patterns. And you have to come down and learn it right to get the right perspective. Because many people just look at a chart and say the first thing that hits them, and the first thing that stands out, oh, that's the main thing in your life. It's not so. It's a whole integral thing to put it together. So you might have a garden and you plant some crazy flower or something. You might plant pot. It's going to be legal. You plant it and you set it up and you get this all set up. But within every year you're supposed to rotate the crop or the soil gets spoiled. So if you get the exciting one, then the next year you're going to have to rotate the crop. It's a different one if you plan for that. But okay, if you haven't, it's going to wreck the soil, and your crop won't be as good. So the excitement, it's there. Jupiter the excitement causes Jupiter to exaggerate the excitement and the importance of the excitement. Wow, this is here, or to allow for it. But sometimes they can allow for the excitement too much at the expense of responsibility. Take the job and shove it. I walked off the job, hon. Okay. I still can't find a job, hon. And it can force things to go different ways than you, because these are things happen outwardly. But in another way, it can change and open up your understanding. Suppose you're growing up in a very Christian fundamentalist world and you kind of hate Muslims. But then you might have a Muslim neighbor, and one day you're walking across the street and just about to get hit, and the Muslim neighbor pulls you away and saves you from the car. And suddenly you meet the person, not the Muslim. It changes your outlook and it challenges your reality. It's a good thing, not comfortable. Then that new understanding will guide your action and will change things. So often it can be really different approaches, different beliefs, and it adds a radical, exciting element, but also an unstable element compared to the structure that you grew up through. Okay, so you're not going to see that clearly, the outer planets affecting Jupiter, or even Saturn. There's sort of a primal influence that's there, but you're not going to be able to imagine what it is, or to say someone, this just means this, without having taken care of all the other ones first. If you go right to that aspect, you're going to be, it's too difficult to say a radical understanding without saying, well, you're trying to do something different, or you're not fitting in here, or you're fighting against this, or the Jupiter, how it's guiding Mars. And what you're accomplishing is the two measurements, the two wings of Jupiter. So that's how you'll see the exciting or unconventional effect, or the innovative effect of Jupiter. But it will show over a period of time at different ways at different times. But when you're talking to someone, you're meeting someone for an hour, it's going to be difficult to get there. If you're doing therapy, and say you're doing a therapy session with someone, you're going to do 10 sessions, each session on a planet, and you work that planet for an hour or two, you'll get to this in a way that integrates, and you'll see the challenge with that person. And then you still have to use Uranus in the sign and house it's in as best you can, and you still have to get your understanding working as best it can where it is, and the sign and house as it is, and it's going to guide Mars, and the aspects will determine how much stress is involved in this. But the stress isn't always negative, which is what I'm trying to work to say. You can't just say good or bad. Oh, there's some work here, or there's some struggle here. Okay, how's that work? But inherently, there's a struggle between the outer planets and anything inside Saturn. Saturn's supposed to be the defenses against the extremes of the outer planets, or the preparation for it. So there is an instability with each of the outer planets. So Uranus is where the excitement is, and if you understand the excitement too much without the responsibility, you can see what happens to your guidance system.